This is a topic we discussed, I think, a couple of months ago, and you were very firm on your feeling that Carlos Alcaraz was the player of the year. And I think a lot of things have changed since then in terms of how strong Jannik Sinner closed this season, his body of work. Who is your pick for ATP Player of the Year?
Well, look, a lot of things have changed. I agree with you, but my viewpoint has still not changed. I'm holding on to this one, and you're right. It was a few months ago that we first sort of began looking at whose body of work over the course of 2024 was stronger. This is a debate that you're going to get all kinds of different answers. I was talking to a coworker of mine today. Hey, who do you think between Sinner and Alcaraz? Because quite clearly to me, it's one or the other. You'd be hard pressed to throw a third one in there. Apologies to Alexander Zverev fans. But really, these are the two guys I think that merit discussion. And for me, it's Alcaraz, and here are my reasons. Yes, they each took two majors in, but to me, winning on two different surfaces, especially the back-to-back going from Roland Garros on clay to then Wimbledon on grass, is such an impressive feat to be able to capture those back-to-back within such a short space on the tennis calendar. So I give that more points than the Aussie Open, US Open bookmarks on the hard court slams of the season. Also, he got a silver medal at the Olympic Games. And look, it took a very informed Novak Djokovic who was out to prove and acquire that sort of last remaining item on his list. So a silver medal to me is a huge accomplishment there as well. And then when I look at the head-to-head between Alcaraz and Sinner, Alcaraz beat Sinner in all three of their 2024 matches. So that stands out as well. Not that it was, oh, he won a couple and he won a couple. It was pretty decisive. It was entirely decisive in those three matches. So for those reasons, to me, Alcaraz gets ATP Player of the Year.
It's a very fair argument, and I do think when you look at that head to head, that is one thing working in his favor. I do think the reality is Jannik Sinner is going to win this award, and that's I mean that's separate from a debate of who you feel is Player of the Year. Just 73-6, 8 titles, two of the four Grand Slams, as we know, and then the way he closed the season. I mean this is what kind of solidified it for me, going ATP Finals title and Davis Cup with Italy back to back.
Yeah, that's
And
fair for sure.
it should be noted, obviously, Alcaraz to me, his most inferior surface, and he still plays great on it, is indoor hard court. And that's where Jannik Sinner is most dangerous, any type of hard court. And you look at the record, even outside matches, take Carlos Alcaraz out of the equation. Jannik Sinner was 73-3 this season, which is stupefying how good that is in terms of a win-loss record, 92% winning percentage overall, closing the year as the world number one. I think for Alcaraz, he fought hard and got that silver medal, and a couple of the results that he had which hurt his case are because of going to Paris and having that long calendar, the extra long calendar playing the Paris Olympics, because he flamed out at the US Open. He just didn't seem right for the summer hardcourt swing post Olympics, where Jannik Sinner missed the Olympics, and I think he benefited from being the fresher of the two. But a
And some
full,
people, you
yeah,
know
go
what?
ahead.
Some people are also going to say, and this could be used in both ways here, but the doping situation that Jannik
True.
Sinner had to face. Some people will say, well, it's amazing all that he accomplished given that huge distraction that he had to put up with. And others will say, well, hey, this is kind of a dark cloud hanging over his accomplishments this year because did he get any unfair treatment to be allowed to continue to play throughout the majority of 2024? So
Yep.
I'm not gonna, weigh in on that one. It's been dealt with, although it although it's still being appealed, so we'll see what comes of it next, I suppose. But there will be some that can use that argument one way or the other. I mean, I think there's a pretty compelling case, obviously, for Sinner, and I can see how he will perhaps likely be the choice. But to me, it doesn't change it. I'm gonna stick with Alcaraz, and I feel like for the reasons I stated, he just does it for me. And regardless of who wins it, it's going to be really interesting to see in 2025. How do these two go? Where do they go from here? Do they split the four slams next year as well between them? Does Djokovic reassert himself in that conversation? Does someone else come into the conversation? Or is it really going to be these guys sort of consolidating at the top of the men's game in the coming few years?